Hey there, welcome to the video. 2025 it's been something, right? It's been outrageous. So I thought it was a good time to maybe take a look at something that I talked about a long time ago. Well, a year ago. It's not that long ago, but something that I talked about that I had no idea 2025 was coming, obviously, and see how it's done. So this was from the June 2024 free newsletter that I've been writing since 2013. It was a very simple system designed to try to take advantage of what? The upward bias of the stock market. Pretty simple. But I want to use leverage, not just stock market. So we use the YM. That's the E-mini Dow, which is weird, right? The Dow, but the way I designed it, I was thinking, well, the Dow doesn't go crazy. It's not the NASDAQ. It's not even the S&P 500. So it may not fall so dramatically because there is no stop loss. Gasp. That was a real gasp and one you probably had yourself. Okay. Here is the system. And this is straight from the newsletter that I sent out from my old website. I just called it the Buy Monday. Now, this is a complicated name because it buys only on Mondays. So it took me a while. I had to use ChatGPT to get that, but I'm pretty satisfied with how it turned out. And I did it on the 5-minute bar. Do you have to do it on the 5-minute bar? No, you can do it on multiple bars. But I did, and that's what I printed out. Now, here are the rules. Are you ready? We're only going long. Remember, upward bias of the stock market. So only long. And we're going long, just pressing the button, or if you have software and code, it buys it for you, at 13:50, at 1:50 Eastern Standard Time. 150. Well, why not 145? Test it for yourself. A lot of different things worked. This is where I ended up. And it's only on Monday. Okay. That's not that complicated. No special indicators, nothing. Now, there is some thought in this, right? Because the open of Monday is pretty wild, generally speaking. We've got all the pent-up energy from the weekend. Even though we have 24-hour trading now in many different instruments, it's still, people get crazy after a weekend. So it gets rid of all that. And then, of course, you have the reaction to the over the weekend reaction. And then you've got the reaction to that reaction. So a lot goes on between 9:30 a.m. and 12, let's say. Well, this waits for all of that to die down. And the idea is that by the afternoon, we've decided, okay, everything is priced in. If things are going to be great, then probably we'll get a run up until the close maybe of that day or maybe the next day. And if things are going terribly, maybe we get a little bounce. That's the idea. You decide if that's sound reasoning. Now, here's where it gets crazy. The negative reward to risk, right? I just want a little piece. The target is 1.5 times the current average true range. So if you're trading this live, you would have the ATR indicator on your screen and just look at it. Oh, it says 10 points. Well, you multiply it by 1.5, 15 points, and there you go. That is the target. You set the target as soon as the trade is entered, and you leave it alone. I used an ATR at the default length of 14. Do whatever you like. I've moved this around too, by the way, so feel free to mess with that. Now, the stop loss is basically not a stop loss. I don't want a stop loss. I want the upward bias of the stock market, right? So it's 20 times the current ATR, which is basically emergency stop only. It's not really relevant. I don't want to get stopped out. Furthermore, I want a really high win rate. I've gone through different phases of my life. Now I don't particularly care for losing. That's how I started. Then in the middle, I really enjoyed what trend following can bring. Maybe you do too. And now I don't want that. So anyway, that's why this was designed in this way. And you exit on Wednesday, so there is a time limit. So yes, it's scary to trade without a stop, but you're not going to trade it forever. So you get out on Wednesday at 150 if nothing has happened. If you haven't hit the stop, if you haven't hit the target, you just get out. Now, this is again from my blog, from my website, so that might be blurry, doesn't matter. The point is that the report was good. That's why the testing going back to 2002 is good. So that's the point. Now, a couple things I'd like you to think about, a few things. Number one, think about what 2025 has been. Trading in 2025 has been awful in every possible way. It's volatile. It reverses. It's been bad for crypto. It's been bad at times for crypto. It's been great for crypto. It's been terrible for crypto. It changes by the hour. It changes by the day. It's been totally driven by news events. It's been just whipsawed and unpredictable and unreliable and wild. It's really, really been difficult for a lot of people. And of course, the stock market is down overall. It's down below its 200 SMA. The SPY is on a daily chart, so it's basically in bearish regime. Okay, so think about that. And we're using a system that goes long only, okay? Think about how, even though I gave you some reasons, think about how just blindly buying on a Monday. What? Why Monday? Why not Tuesday, right? So many questions. And this seems so just poorly designed, even though I tried to justify it, right? Doesn't really make much sense. Kind of does, but really doesn't, and then really has no chance to work. Not in 2025, right? Think about the overnight risk. Well, we get out on Wednesday. That's our emergency stop besides our ATR stop, but we're holding it overnight, or if you're trading it on 24 hours, which I'm not in this particular system, then you're holding it overnight or you're holding it 24 hours. So it's just dropping, whatever. So it's all sorts of risk. We'd need $15,500 as of today, according to TradeStation. That's the minimum margin requirement. Now, a lot of these trades do finish before the close on Monday, in which case the margin requirement would be way, way, way less. But because of the overnight risk, the margin we'd need right now is 15.5. So keep that number in mind. All told, all these things going, 2025, nobody would want this system, okay? But of course, as you may have surmised, look at how it's done. Now, this starts in January 1st. There is a trade right at the end of last year, 2024. The Monday to Wednesday happened as the new year transferred over. So there is a trade on this particular chart that starts in 2024 and ends positively and nicely profitable in 2025, but it's not legit because the new year happened right in the middle. So you should have been out of that trade for a small loss. Why do I tell you that? Because this takes that out. We just start after the new year, so it's legitimately you're only buying on a Monday when you actually have a Wednesday available to you and not some holiday in the middle. Okay, but there's been about almost 16 weeks in 2025 as I make this video, and this is 15 trades. So we've gotten pretty much every week in there. This type of trading has really thrived, crazily enough. I mean, again, if you go back to your 15.5 number, we're up 50% in April, right? It's crazy in 2025. And like I said, this type of trading is thriving the past 5 years since 2020. Why is that? Because average true range has really gone up. We don't have a numerical target. We're just letting the range. So if it's a high range, we get a nice target. But it's been doing well. How well? Well, here's your equity curve. You can see this starts in January 1st, 2020, right? 12/31, no trade there, and goes through 4/29, 2025. Does it hit a stop loss? Maybe not the 20, but it might hit on Wednesday when things aren't going great, and then it cranks out to new highs, and then, ooh, that's a bad period. Sideways for, oh, no, and then it makes new highs, and it's been doing especially well lately, including 2025. So, video's a little shorter, but we got right to the point, didn't we? This system, with the margin that we discussed, has returned a ton this year and has averaged about 20% per year since 2020. Now, it's not 20 every year. Get your mind around that. It's huge year, break even / small loss, huge year so far this year, and so forth. But it's about 20%. You can do your own math. Does have 2 losing years, but those are almost zero. The worst losing year is under a 4% loss, like 3.5, something like that percent loss. So very small losing years, but it didn't make money either. It is having a great 2025, though, in a horrible environment to be a trader. And if the ATR stays high, has a chance to keep doing well. And you don't have to trade it on its own. You could put this together with something else and just watch it trade and not have to depend on that, right? Would that be a good thing to do? That's what Keenan says. Keenan agrees. It could be a part of a nice, bigger portfolio. Remember, Elite members do get this code for free, but I gave you the rules. You can trade it manually. And dividend income program, if you're interested in something like that, that's still going through December and possibly longer. And as always, thank you for liking and subscribing. Me and Keanu are very happy about that. See you in the next video. Bye for now.